to give a warm welcome to our presenters today and obviously all attendees as well. I'm Joanne Roberts and I'm a committee member of the Women's Engineering Society Tyne and Tees Cluster. And this talk today is part of a series that started during lockdown and is designed to motivate and inspire everyone to shine. We'll move on to the second slide. Okay, thanks. So the focus today for the In It Together talk is how to win awards and influence people. And we have some wonderful experiences to tell you about, which hopefully you can take away and apply in your own way. So just a couple of housekeeping rules. Just a note for everybody that this event is being recorded and you can watch it back on YouTube or share with others on YouTube later. Please keep yourself muted throughout the event. And please feel free if you prefer to keep your camera on, that's absolutely fine. So next slide, please. Format today will be 3 presentations and there will be an opportunity for a question and answer session moderated by my fellow Women's Engineering Society Tyne and Tees cluster member, Chartered Civil Engineer Sally Possible at the end, and that'll be following the presentation. So please put your questions in the chat as we go through the presentations today. The first of our speakers is Paula McMahon. Paula is the founding chair of Engineering Together and an active member of the Women's Engineering Society Tyne and Tees cluster as well. She's a really committed volunteer for several organisations across the engineering sector. Paula has submitted and nominated many successful award applications. Our next speaker has pre-recorded a piece for our event today, Mercedes Ascaso-Till. Mercedes is a principal engineer at DLT Engineering and graduated from the University of Cantabria in Santander in Spain. Following her graduation, she moved to the UK and has 20 years' experience in construction engineering of bridges and complex structures. She's author of a number of technical papers and is Product of the Year Award winner 2022 from the British Construction Industry Awards. She was also recently selected as one of the top 50 women in engineering 2022 Inventors and Innovators. Our final speaker today is Professor Lydia Spiller, who's Professor in Nanoscale Science at Newcastle University and is currently Head of the Advanced Materials and Electrochemical Engineering Group in the School of Engineering. And she's also Academic Lead of the Surface Characterisation Facility at Newcastle University. Lydia has been holder of prestigious fellowships, including the Dorothy Hodgkin Royal Society Fellowship. She's also been awarded national recognition as one of the top 50 women in engineering 2022. Inventors and Innovators too. So I'll hand over to Paula. Thanks.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to do the main event, and for some reason the slides are I've got to click 3 times to make them move forward. So what we're going to go through today is why awards, why we should do them and why they influence them. I'll say a little tiny bit about me, but mostly this is about being inspired. And we'll hear from Mercedes recorded and Professor Lydia live, and we will also I'll give you some hints and tips from all the different awards that I've successfully put forward for other people. So why do we do it? Well, the awards give people confidence, there's no doubt about it, and there's many people that suffer from confidence issues. They raise the profile of yourself, your company, they give us an excuse to celebrate, and by heck we need celebration excuses at the moment, and it helps you lead you towards other networks and other things, and they totally and utterly help enhance inclusion. So I'm going to go through some examples of these as we go through, and hopefully that will inspire you to put yourself and other people forward for awards. So as Joanne already said, I'm a civil engineer, a chartered civil engineer. I've also got qualifications in management and leadership. I'm a volunteer in very many things. I'm an ambassador and trustee and mentor, and I've also judged many of these awards. Joanne's already said I'm founder of Engineering Together, but also Voices, which is about environmental, and The Line, which is about helping people with diversity issues. There's my different handles if you want to join me. But basically, to sum up, I'm very passionate about STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths, collaboration, sustainability and inclusion. And I totally and utterly believe that education is the key to all of this in order to get us to where we need to be in terms of fairness. So Mercedes is going to introduce herself a little bit, and let's hear from Mercedes.
Good afternoon. My name is Mercedes Ascasotil. I'm a principal engineer with DLT Engineering.
So why is it stopped? Okay. I don't understand why Mercedes didn't stop, but Mercedes has done lots of different things. Over her 20 years, she has worked on some really high profile jobs, and as a result of it, she actually has written articles in the Bridge Engineering ICE Proceedings, Institution of Civil Engineering Proceedings International magazine. And we'll hear from Professor Lydia later.
Good afternoon. My name is Mercedes.
Always the same with slides. So why am I sort of qualified to do this? Well, I've done lots of, given lots of awards myself for a variety of reasons, for my STEM, my ambassadorial work, mentoring, academic. I've got even lifetime awards. I know I don't look that old, and ones that help with the community as well. So I've got a wide variety of different awards myself. But mainly I want to talk about the fact that I've actually nominated many people in order to actually celebrate who we are and what we do. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I've nominated for the WES WE50 Awards, and I actually successfully nominated 5 separate people for the Heroes Awards. Every year the WES Awards has a different theme, and 2021 was Heroes. So let's hear from a few different people. So Mimi's at the top. The reason why I nominated Mimi is that she worked for Sir Robert McAlpine with me, and also she'd done lots of different things with me. So she got noticed, and I noticed that she was doing all of this stuff. But when she actually got the award, she said she reminded herself that she needed more faith. So it's actually gained her more confidence to do more. Julie in the middle. Julie, I worked with her on the ICE proceedings, and which was another one of the international journals. Julie blew me away, and when I actually said I wanted to put her forward for nominations, she actually said something that she'd never thought of. So, and she acknowledged that I'd obviously seen something in her that she wouldn't necessarily see herself. Andrea, who's one of our other WES members, did another event with us as part of the In It Together series, and she was talking very much about her side hustle, and the Heroes was all about things that people did in lockdown and sustainability wise, and she, as part of a nappy library, really shone for me. So I put all of them down, and as a result of all that, we actually did more together. So we actually put on an event to celebrate the winners in the Northeast of that year's award. So these things can always lead to do more. And as a result of that, we also got the other winners there that I didn't put forward. Sorry, I put the other 3 forward, and successfully. We had 2 other winners in our region, and they celebrated on a webinar to actually again inspire other people. That's what the In It Together series is about. And as a result of all of that, with Tanaz at the bottom, we actually ended up, and many of our WES Tyne and Tees cluster ladies, we actually ended up getting the very first joint university event in the Northeast, which was really cool. We had people that were in each individual university, and we got together virtually to actually share some stories, and we ended up that was actually the international launch of International Women in Engineering Day 2022. So, you know, as a result of things, we do more and do more again. So fingers crossed we can actually hear from Mercedes as to why she got the award and how this made her feel.
One of the members of my team nominated me for the NCE 2019 Recognizing Women in Engineering Awards. I won the Technical Excellence category. It was very gratifying and rewarding for my work to be respected and recognized, not only by my team, but also by the wider engineering community. Nowadays, social media allow us to reach to larger audiences, and receive recognition from the most unexpected sources. It was through my LinkedIn post that Gita YG found out about my recent achievements and decided to nominate me for the top 50 Women in Engineering Awards this year. She said that she found my publications inspiring, and she thought that not only her but others could be inspired to pursue a career in engineering. Both Gita and I were delighted when I received the award. In my experience, awards give you the opportunity to improve your visibility within the media, and they are good both for networking and also in front of clients. They can be for individuals, but also for the whole team or project. This year, I convinced our directors to enter the Structural Awards and British Construction Industry Awards. We were shortlisted for both, and we won the Product Innovation of the Year with the VCIA. It was fantastic for the whole team to receive such an honor. Not only winners, but also shortlisted entries are an excellent showcase of good engineering, and they can be very inspiring. Therefore, participating and being aware of what other people are doing in the industry can be very important and an excellent experience in itself. Thank you for listening. One of the
helps if you take yourself off mute. Yeah, so Mercedes is going to be with us today. She's actually busy at work, but it was great that she's given us that insight into how it actually made her feel and why and how it's actually led to other things. But as well as there's lots of different types of awards, as well as the Women's Engineering Society, there's also other ones, and one I've selected that again I got some people on successfully on the list was the Northern Power Women Awards. Julie also featured on that, and Julie actually ended up on the Power list, which was great, and we got 3 people on the Future list. So let's find out a little bit more about them. So Michelle and Meshi, very much the theme of their entry was about leading the way for diversity. So Michelle, I met Michelle through the Institution of Civil Engineers for International Women's Day. She was part of a diversity panel, and Michelle very much is a brilliant voice for the LGBTQ plus communities, and she works a lot with building equality. Meshi works with me on the Institution of Civil Engineers. She's a Fairness, Inclusion and Respect member nationally, and she also does lots of things in the Northeast as well. She was part of the group that set up an anti-racism toolkit, which can be used by all different companies to educate themselves and to do better in that space, amongst other things. But there's our very own Jo Douglas Harris as well. Dr. Jo is our WES Tyne and Tees cluster lead. She's the one that sort of brings us all together and we talk about these great events. She's also works with me on Engineering Together, where she's the diversity champion, where we have lots of different institutions getting together. And I think her biggest legacy is that she came up with the idea of the WES Lottie Tour, which I think is in about its 8th year. And internationally, people borrow the Lottie dolls from the WES Early Careers Board, and they're displayed all over, and they showcase the range of STEM careers and the mostly female, but all sorts of role models in them careers. But sometimes we say there's other reasons, as well as just saying that's a shining light. Sometimes you know, you come upon someone and you want to say thank you very much for doing what you're doing, they obviously need to be a shining light as well and work in that space. An example is Lauren. Lauren is a menopause expert, and she helped with us on one of the other series that we put together, which is Mentioning the Unmentionables. And it was in my mind that it would be nice to say thank you and help, because she helped us. And then when this one came up, the Shine Awards, the very top line was somebody that considers well-being in everything that they do, and Lauren very much just straight away thought, that's Lauren in a nutshell. She absolutely met that criteria. And again, because if I hadn't thought about it and put her forward, then she wouldn't have had the opportunity. Life happens. She was shortlisted, she didn't win, but as Mercedes said, in itself, all of this is brilliant. Shortlisting is absolutely fantastic, and some of these awards have a huge amount of people that put themselves forward, and it's not to be underestimated how difficult it was to get to that shortlisting stage. We also don't forget those that are behind the scenes, the people that hold up the rest of us. Julie is exactly one of them people. Put forward Julie for a local community award, and she got her star, which was brilliant because Julie is a star. She does lots of things in the background. She's on this call now. She's not often on screen, but we need all of them people, and we need to say thank you, and we need to acknowledge them. And thanks, Julie, for everything that you do. But don't forget, it's not just about women. I know it's a Women's Engineering Society event. He's an example of something else that I'm passionate about, which is sustainability. I put Kibbles forward for Generation for Change Northeast Awards. He won that Future Leader Award, and he actually has just last week or the week before won the National Award as well. He's an absolute star in the space of environmental sustainability, and he spoke at COP26. He's just come back from COP27. You know, there's lots of things that we can do to actually enhance profiles of the right people in order to actually help them do better. So let's hear from Professor Lydia. And I'll hand over to you. Do you want me to stop sharing, Lydia? I'm going to stop sharing to let you have a bigger view. And you're on mute, Lydia.
Okay, nice. Thank you. First, I would like to thank Joe, Julie, and Paula for inviting me here to this great event. And my name is Lydia Schiller, and I'm at the School of Engineering in Newcastle University, and I'm here since 2000, so for past 22 years. I got this award, 50 Women's in Engineering Award for Innovation and Innovators on 2 technologies, which we have developed at Newcastle University for the past 10 years. These 2 technologies are patented, and I will just give you a brief view. The first one is how to find cheaply and make cheaply aerogels. So if nobody knows what are the aerogels, these are the most porous materials known to man. They're known since 1931, and NASA took them on rover Mars. And they are super insulators. They can withstand 7 Kelvin in the space. And what we did at Newcastle University, we made them cheaply. So I'm a co-founder of the company called Dragonfly Insulation in Prudo here in Northeast. And we are trying to now scale up this technology to the tons of these materials. And the second technology, which I also developed for the past 12 years, it is technology how to capture CO2 and store as a mineral. And we have developed a continuous process so that will capture CO2, turn into the calcium carbonate, and hopefully be applied on a flue gas or point source emitters. And technology is new because it takes us only 60 seconds to get from the gas to the mineral in our technology. And this technology not just has been patented, it has been already licensed, and it's on the confirmed to technological readiness level 6. And now in January this 2023 is going to be tested on technological level 7 at Coal plant in Poland. And if it works, it might be applied very soon to the coal plants or cement plants. And technology has been licensed to Norwegian company Captico 2. They were prepared to put the money and try to scale up. And what I would like to say now about the award, I was really happy and very grateful that I got this award. I didn't expect I will get it, but it happened. And why I was so grateful is because working at Newcastle and for the past 20 years, it means I got some now attention for the work which we are doing for the carbon capture and environment, which we propose our solutions. So we were very, very pleased about this award. And as I say, it's not expected. We just thought it would not happen, but it was lucky. So thank you for your attention and listening.
Thank you, Lydia, and you're staying around for questions, aren't you, at the end? So let me summarise. Let me share. So as a judge, I know that often the things that people are looking out for in the different criteria are people that are head and shoulders above, that thinks or works outside the box, that inspires others, that goes above and beyond. And in the future as well, they'll achieve more, so they'll achieve great things, and also they'll continue to achieve or inspire further. So I think you can sort of agree that all of the people that have sort of showcased today, and I could have showcased many more, I know some absolutely fantastic people, they absolutely hit that criteria of why we have awards. It's given themselves confidence, it's given the companies confidence, like Lydia said, in the work, and given that profile raising. It gives us an excuse to celebrate, and that's celebrate online, in person. You know, it's a great thing to do. And it's enhanced each of our networks, and many of these things have gone on to do other things, and I'm sure they'll go on to do other things in the future. And it enhances inclusion and sustainability in its wider sense as well. So let me mouse. There we go. So here's my top hints and tips, and we can ask questions and answers session. You can ask what you like. But here's my top tips. So first of all, keep your eyes open. Look around for the awards. Think about the people that you might want to nominate. It might be yourself, it might be others. If you see something and you think, I've missed it for this year, stick it in your diary for next year and say, you know, 3 months, you know, in advance of that, I'll start looking for that award. When you find it, absolutely and utterly check the criteria. The nominee has to meet that specific award and the ethos of the people that are doing the award. And also brilliant people, but not everybody suitable for that award, so make them match, because if not, they've got less chance of being shortlisted or winning. Absolutely check the boring rules. It might be boring, but the deadline, the word count, any evidence that you've got to do, is it 2 pages, is it 20 pages, is it 5 megabytes? Is there a cost associated with it? Understand what you're getting yourself in for before you actually commit any time. Get permission. Now, this isn't always the case. Sometimes, like Lydia was totally surprised about her WE50 award. So obviously somebody nominated her without asking, and that's fine if you think that's the right thing for the right person. But sometimes you need permission from the person. Are you okay if I put you up for this award? If you're doing it on behalf of an organisation, again, it's worthwhile checking with their department that somebody else isn't doing it, or that they're happy to go down that route. Once you sort of said, right, that's it, I'm going for it, ask around. Is there somebody else that's won before? Is there somebody else that's applied and not won or shortlisted before? Is there anybody that's been a judging person? Ask around, because get some more hints and tips from them specific to do with that actual award. Have a first draft. Don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody's got a decent CV, if they've gone for something similar in the past, if they've done a blog that's talked about themselves, nick the wording from there. Don't write everything from scratch. But remember, you're absolutely and utterly trying to match that criteria. Use the same words, use the same thinking. You know, is it about the future? Is it about the past? Is it about the metrics and the evidence? Is it about the numbers? Is it about how it made people feel? However, whatever it is, match that criteria. Then you've got to absolutely check. The nominator, obviously read through it yourself, see what it says, not what you think it says. And if you've got the nominee on board, get them to check as well. You may well have inadvertently have put words in there that have sort of twisted either under sort of egged it and sort of haven't given them enough credit, or you might have accidentally made them the managing director of a company and you didn't mean to, and that isn't true, because you've got to make sure it's true. But remember, you can self-nominate, never forget that. Not on everything, but check the rules, you can self-nominate. Obviously, when you've submitted it, ask yourself the question, are you keeping it to yourself, the nominator and the nominee? Not everybody wants to know they've put it in. They might not be successful, they might not be shortlisted. So check, and you may want to say, I've submitted for this, or you may want to keep it to yourself. It's up to you. I would always say bookmark the dates when you're expecting to find out. If there's an award ceremony, to block out that time. If you are lucky enough to be shortlisted or a finalist or win the award, you know, you might want to actually go to it, so stick it in your diary. And then, regardless of whether you have been nominated and you're not shortlisted, or you are shortlisted, or you even win, you absolutely should celebrate, because somebody has thought that you're good enough to go for this. So be proud of it and make the most of it. You know, there's whatever you make the most of it is. You could stick it on your CV, you can put it on your social media, you can tell your next door neighbour, whatever it might be. But win, lose or not, absolutely and utterly stay humble. You know, it doesn't make you better than everybody else. It makes you that you're the person that's been, you know, that year you've given the best, and you've been the best of that cohort, or the, you know, amongst the best if you've been shortlisted. But it doesn't make you king of the world. But absolutely, whatever happens, shout about it, share it, say thanks. The amount of people that forget to say thank you to those that have helped them along the way, and be generous. So you think, right, I got this last year, pay it forward, help somebody else, you know, and then make this a nice cycle of positivity, and this way that we can actually enhance things and make all of the good stuff bigger and better. So over to Sally, who's going to look at the questions, and I'm going to switch my mic off unless I'm asked something.
Thanks, Paula, and just to say thank you to yourself and to Lydia, and obviously to Mercedes separately, for your very inspiring words today. It's been absolutely lovely to hear about the achievements that you've got and how we can be more involved. So I can see there's one or two questions going into the chat, but if anyone else has any questions now, if you can pop those in the chat function with a Q at the beginning, your question, and ideally if it's to Lydia or Paula, if you could just identify who it's for. But just while waiting maybe for a few more to come in, I just had a question for both of you, so I thought I'd just squeeze that in while I get the chance. So Lydia, obviously congratulations on getting the WE50 award for the technology, and the technology on the carbon side of it sounds fascinating. You did mention that you were lucky to win the award, and I would have to say that doesn't sound like luck. That sounds like you've been recognised for a lot of hard work. Definitely not luck at all. I just wanted to ask, what do you class maybe as your biggest achievement to date? And you are on mute.
Sorry. So my biggest achievement is I think that there is a chance that this technology on carbon capture with the catalyst, which means very fast, that it could be applied to coal plants or gas plants if it goes to the TRL7, because the already company has a list of users which they are willing to pay, and company will become very profitable, and we could maybe hear very soon that this is possible, because at the moment there are a lot of companies that of course saying they are going to do it. I would just like to say that my technology has been already tested on flue gas from waste plants in Bergen, which means they just took they burned the rubbish and they took the flue gas and mineralized. So it does work, concept works, but what we need to do now is very big volumes. So that's what is happening next. So that's if it's possible. If this, we might hear more about it. But yeah, I just cross fingers it works.
No,
I mean, I tried help, of course. We are having constant. We are talking to company and trying to help in laboratories, whatever we can. But yeah, sometimes you need also hope. It's not always, yeah, you are sure 100%.
No, that's fantastic. Yes, I can see how that is definitely a huge achievement. There's another question in the chat for you, which I'll just fire over. So Joe asks, how do you look for and celebrate talent in the university?
But talent in the university, well, I could just say for my group, I always, the talent comes through projects with the PhD students. And my way of course, as a supervisor, you very often share things. And I always tend to share whatever we do with the students, and also if it's a patent, they are on the patent, so we recognize every researcher in whether it's a student, a staff member who works on the project, they are recognized in the university. I mean, at least I could say it's in my group what I could do. I have so far I led to completion more than 20 PhD students, and I have 7 patents with some of them. So that's what is in my group going.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. And it's nice to know, obviously, that whoever is involved in what you're doing does get the recognition, because I would say in some cases that might not always be the case. That is absolutely brilliant. Sorry, what was that?
No, I want to say that that's not the case with me. Yeah.
Paula, I've got a quick one for you, and there is one in the chat as well. So it was interesting to hear from you, obviously, from all the different sides that you've done. So you've been nominated, you've been the nominator, and you've got to sit on the judging panel. So it's kind of 2 questions in one here. First one, you gave your top tips, but what would be your top tip? And ultimately, which side do you like to be on?
So the very top tip is to go for it, basically. Whether it's go for it for yourself or somebody else, and don't be shy. Totally and utterly big yourself up, because quite frankly, if you're not going to big yourself up, then who is going to? Yeah. So that's all right. I stole a second one there, Sally. There's 2 top tips. And which side do I prefer to sit on? So I've been very, very lucky to receive loads of awards. I'm trying now, when people sort of flag things up, to say, no, it's not for me to actually nominate other people, because, you know, there's a point at which it becomes a bit silly. And then the judging as well. I mean, God blimey, which side? It just totally varies. I love putting people forward and seeing them get the recognition they deserve. And honestly, reading some of the entries for other things that's come in just makes you feel, well, as Lydia said, hope's very, very important, very, very hopeful for the future, and that there's lots and lots of people doing lots of great stuff. So I don't really have a particular favourite, Sally. Sorry, I'm not going to totally answer your question. I'm going to cheat.
That's fine. I'll let you off. There's one here in the chat that says, there are sometimes people you'd like to nominate, but you don't know enough about them, about what they do to do them justice. What would you say is the best way to go about that?
Have a chat. So, I mean, you know, say, right, I've seen this and I think you might, it might be for you, but tell me what you've done against the criteria. I asked them specifically against the criteria because it's absolutely brilliant if you walk your neighbour's dog and you do their shopping and various things, but it's got nothing to do with the actual criteria and that award. It's a waste. It's not a waste to find out about it because it's brilliant, but you need to, if you're going for a particular award, meet them criteria. So you just have a conversation. And then what I find as well is that if I put people forward, they often undersell themselves. Actually, I'll stop sharing. They undersell, not one. They undersell themselves, and so one of the things that I sort of help them do is to say, right, tell me a bit more about it and ask them questions, almost as if I'm interviewing them, and then get more from them to be able to big up and use the right type of words and the pitch it correctly, because often people are too shy to do it themselves.
No, definitely, that's great. There's another question here for you. There's another one or two in the chat. So there's one from Carolina that says, what is a good place to start looking for the upcoming or the available awards?
Literally just do a Google search and look, keep an eye out on your social media. So you'll see that people all the time are saying they got shortlisted. Thank you to someone for nominating them. Look at one I've won, and think if that's something that you're interested in, look on the link, look on the website, and then think, right, that's something for me for next year. It's something for somebody else for next year, or it's something that I'll just keep in my diary to have a look. And all I do is I put a calendar entry into my diary, and I put a link into the right awards, and I'll just say, look out for this. Normally, when it's months and months normally beforehand that you actually get things in, and don't underestimate how long it takes you to get stuff in, so give yourself plenty of time. Sometimes the websites actually have, for this year, it was in, you know, entries were in May, it was opened in April, entries were in this date in May for shortlisting, and they actually have the date, so then set it on that date, if not set it a few months before to start looking for it, is what I would do. But just look around, keep your eyes open.
Fantastic. There's a question here for both of you. Paula, I think you've probably touched on it slightly with your top tip of just go for it, but the question is, a lot of people feel they shouldn't or don't want to self-nominate for awards. Do you have any thoughts on this? I don't know if Lydia, do you want to go first?
From the point of academic, there are awards for which you must go. There are like fellowship awards, which if you didn't get them, it would be very difficult to become academic. So there are things which you must try to win. So in that sense, if you're asking from that point of view, I would say for some you have to try, because probably your career will not be anywhere unless you get them. So that's one point. For the other awards, which there are maybe this which I'm mentioning, they are significant because they give you probably salary for 3 to 5 years, and plus research money. So basically you are becoming then independent researcher, and then you are showing you are actually can do and lead research. That's why they are so important. And the other probably you could think and think first whether you would like to try, like what would happen if you get them. Is it going to improve your esteem, or what your colleagues are going to think about it, or sometimes just try to put them in and see how it goes, and don't expect to get them. But if you don't try, you don't get it for sure, because it's like a lottery. If you don't get the lottery ticket, you won't get it. So that's how I think, because in many cases you also have to try for grants applications, and the same way, if you don't put in it, you will nobody will come and knock on your door and say, oh, I think you're great. So that's how I think you should look, like, philosophically. And if you don't get it, so what? Many people didn't. So the worst thing which can happen is to get no. But so many no's in the world, and so many times we get them, so it's not a big deal.
I
So
love
that's how
I love the lottery analysis of, you know, you can't win the lottery, you know, if you're not in there. And actually, if you don't win the lottery, most people just put it on again the week after. So yes, very much. If you get a no, you know, just put it on again the next week. You know, apply for the next thing. And like you say, if you don't have the ticket in the first place, you definitely can't win.
Yeah.
So if you apply, you're already halfway there, really.
Exactly. And many times we get turns down in the life, right? It's not all sailing. So just take philosophically this. I would say this.
For me to do with self-nomination, Sally, if you don't want to put yourself forward, that's fine, but there's nothing actually stopping you saying to somebody else, I've identified this award, I think I meet the criteria because of this. Do your own first draft and ask somebody else, would they be your nominator? There's nothing wrong with that. And not all awards, by the way, you can self-nominate. Some of them very much require a nominator, so that's why you've got to look at the rules. But it doesn't stop you from identifying awards for yourself and giving it, you know, a first stab at the wording, because only you know what you've done.
Yes, no, definitely. And that actually leads on to a question from Joe that she's just popped in the chat. If you wanted to nominate someone for an award and their initial reaction is that they don't want you to, and you suspect it's maybe a little bit of the imposter syndrome that does go around when people don't realise, obviously, all the amazing things that they do, how would you persuade them, or would you persuade them?
So I've done both. I've done the not persuading them and I've done the persuading them. So there's some people have said, I think this award's for you, and they've just said awards full stop are not for me, I'm not interested. Right, that's fine. If it's the other side, which is more towards the imposter syndrome, that people say, I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I've done enough, I'll have that same sort of, you know, like I said before, like almost like an interview, but obviously more of a chat, to say, well, I think that you've done this and I think that's great, or well, tell me why you don't think, and have the conversation and persuade them. But if somebody doesn't want to do it, absolutely don't force them. There's no way, you know, that ends up detrimental. But if I do think that people are just underselling themselves and they don't think that it's good enough, and I think that they've got a fair chance, and I'd only put someone forward if I thought they had a fair chance. It's no good. Lydia, you're totally right. Life isn't plain sailing. There's plenty of no's, and you will get no's on these things. But don't set yourself up for only putting in a half-baked thing, putting people up for the wrong awards, because then you're just going to get more no's, and it's no good for anybody. Yeah, but I only ever put people forward that I truly believe are worthy of them. So yes, I've done both, persuaded them and not persuaded them. Again, it's like everything else in life, you just got to take that balance and think of what's the best thing to do in that case.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, obviously, if they don't want to do it, to understand why that is. So if it is just the imposter syndrome, but then ultimately, like Lydia was saying, if, you know, there's benefits that come off the back of it, you know, and it would be an advantage rather than just, you know, just for sort of yourself, you know, it's maybe one of those things that pushes people, you know, if they know they can get maybe a little bit more out of it than just for themselves, then they're definitely more likely to take the jump.
Yeah, and there's people that are actually, you would say that you would think they were confident, you'd think they were at the epitome of their career, and they've had one of these awards and have actually said, I've now been noticed by my employer. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's totally elevated me within my own workplace. That you would have thought they were already elevated. So it's got a lot of surprising positive benefits.
Definitely. You mentioned, sorry, another question from the chat. You mentioned the Northern Power Women and the WE50. What about any other recommendations for this specific audience to look out for?
Yeah, so the one that I put Lauren forward for was the Women's Leaders Association. Other ones that I've won are women in construction and engineering. There's ones for each of the professional engineering institutions, or wherever your organisation are, they'll have a plethora of them. The one I put Kirill's forward was Generation for Change, which is Constructing Excellence North East. There's ones in the local area called Tees Business, where I'm from. There's North East Chamber of Commerce. Literally, there is thousands and thousands of awards if you just look for them. There's ones for, like, Mercedes initially won one for doing a journal paper, which was quite specific, and we have them for the institution. There's ones that are gender related or inclusion related. There's a whole host of awards for the LGBTQ community and Black and ethnic minorities communities. Literally, do a search. There's loads.
Yeah, I guess possibly it's worth, you know, if it's someone in a local area, you know, look in the local area, or, you know, if they're doing something very specific, you know, possibly look into that and see maybe what there is in the local area and the wards that link in with that.
The sector related, there's you know, like ethnicity and gender related. There's awards for lots of different things. So no, what are you into? Look for them.
Yes. Yes. No, that's absolutely great. If anyone else has got any more questions, you can pop them in the chat, but we are pretty much through the ones that have been raised so far. So thank you to both of you for answering those.
Thanks very much. Just wait for 1 second, see if any more questions pop up. Not looking like there is anything coming through, so just one comment there from Julie. Check out your local authority website. They've often got local awards on there. That is definitely the case. I know here in Stockton, where I'm based, that's something that as a local authority we do civic awards. So there's certainly community champions and things that we can do. So yeah, please feel free to do that. Thanks for that comment, Julie. So, I mean, that's been absolutely brilliant. And I think all that's left for me to say is, you know, thanks very much to our presenters for their great insight and inspiration. And I really hope it's left you feeling uplifted and motivated. And, you know, thanks very much for listening here. Just a reminder that the event has been recorded and will be available on YouTube later. So please share with colleagues and friends if there's anything that you want to, you know, if you want to pass this on to anyone. And I think, you know, just a final thing from me, just to say, you know, thanks very much, and please keep a lookout on all your social media for any future events that we'll be putting forward. So thanks very much and have a lovely afternoon. Thanks. Bye now.